Well, good evening, everyone, or good morning there in Hong Kong. My name is Zach Lehman, and I'm the headmaster here at the Hill School. And I would like to, first of all, welcome everyone and introduce Judy Wong, one of our trustees right there in Hong Kong. And Judy's going to introduce this evening.
Good morning, everyone. Can you see me?
We can't see you yet, Judy. We can hear you. You have to start your video.
Okay. Sorry about that. I have started, but are we good?
No, there's no video yet, Judy, but you can go ahead and start talking. There you go.
All right. Okay, we get it. So welcome, everyone. Good morning,
Judy,
and welcome to our...
Judy, we can't see you in black now. Yep, you got to take the thing off the camera. There you go.
Oh, okay, good. So I apologize for all the mishaps this morning. First of all, I want to welcome everyone to our Hill School event today. My name is Judy Wong. I'm a trustee of the school based in Hong Kong, and I have been on the board for 7 years, coming up to 8. I'm also a past parent. My son, Nick Schwartz, graduated from Hill in 2017, and he will be graduating from University of Chicago this coming summer. Very exciting. And if I look back, I think those 4 years when Nick was at the Hill have helped him develop the character that has prepared him well for college and life beyond. Through my 7 and 8 years at Hill, I have consistently heard parents talk about the hands-on and nurturing environment at Hill. And even in my personal experience, I believe it is this environment that has helped my son to discover his passion. And these days, to get into a top college, you can't just say you like math and science or humanities. You need to be very focused and show your passion. And at the age of 14 or 15, like many other students at that age, Nick didn't know what he really liked then. But the teachers at Hill encouraged him to explore his interests and discover what he likes the most. And then he found his passion in classics, such as Latin and Greek studies. Through the process, he has developed a very close relationship with his Latin and Greek teacher, Mr. Shirallo, as well as his advisor, Mr. Gettings. He would go to them for any advice or help, not just on academics. They were essentially his parents at school. The Hill has also reshaped and broadened his mind and taught him the difference between good and bad, and between what is important and what is less important. For example, at the Hill, the importance of giving back to the community is ingrained from day one. The same applies to the respect and honor shown to all students from different backgrounds and different nationalities. Today, he's a confident young man. He's also respectful and carefully listens and evaluates the advice of his parents, teachers, and professors. It is wonderful to have him coming to us parents to talk about his future plan and ask for advice. I'm grateful to the Hill School for helping my son to mature and for creating the right environment for him to grow. I hope you will find the right school for your child to grow as well. I will now pass over to the Hill School headmaster, Mr. Zach Lehman.
Thank you, Judy, and thank you everyone for joining us. I'm sorry that I can't be there in person. I always look forward to our Hong Kong event more than any. It's a great city, one of my favorites, and so many of my favorite people there with me usually. But hopefully this will suffice for now. We all know that travel is limited, both in Hong Kong and abroad. I would like to, before I begin my introduction or my presentation, I'd like to briefly introduce a few students and one alum who is here on the panel with us tonight. So first I'd like to, and they can just say a minute or two about themselves, and then they'll answer some questions later on. So first I'd like to introduce a sixth former, a senior, whose name is David Chow. David is in quarantine right now, but he's looking very sharp. David, can you say hello?
Yep. Hello, guys. Nice to meet you guys. My name is David, and I'm a sixth former from Hong Kong, and then I'm a four-year senior at the Hill School. I'm a residential prefect, co-president of a club, a language fellow, and a tour guide at Hill. I consider myself as like a humanities student at Hill, and my favorite classes at Hill are humanities, English, Spanish, and studio arts.
Thank you, Dave.
I'm also
Keep going.
I'm also a member of the varsity wrestling team and varsity crew team. Yep.
Awesome, David. So lots of questions for David later on for some of the things that he mentioned. I'd also like to introduce Stephanie Lee.
Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie Lee. I'm a fourth former at Hill. This is my second year here at Hill, and I'm a boarding student, obviously, because I'm from Hong Kong. So at Hill, I am the fourth form representative of the Student Government Association, and I'm also a club founder, along with another friend of mine. Other than this, at Hill, my favorite subject is definitely science. Along with the new quadrivium. I'm sure you guys probably know this, which makes me actually love the class even more because we're in such a nice building, having such nice facilities and stuff. Apart from that, in the fall, I do debate. I enjoy that a lot. We actually got to compete this year despite COVID, and I'm also a musician at Hill. I play in the orchestra and I also play outside in my free time.
Thanks, Stephanie. It's great to see you. And last but not least, I'd like to welcome Sean Ho. Sean is a recent graduate of the Hill, I think now 3 or maybe almost 4 years ago. Sean, it's great to see you. And Sean, if you would introduce yourself.
Sure, yeah. I graduated from Hill in 2016. So I was in the class of 2016. I went to Georgetown University. Afterwards, so I graduated this year, actually. I graduated a few months ago. And yeah, I'm working in Hong Kong now. I'm from Macau originally, but I'm living in Hong Kong now. And I'm working at a risk and intelligence consultancy in Hong Kong. So yeah.
And Sean has a younger brother who is a sixth form or senior at the Hill School. And Stephanie also has an older brother who's at the Hill School. So we have a lot of connections here tonight, and it's great to see our students and to receive Judy's warm welcome. I think we also are joined on the call tonight by some of our current parents and some of our alumni, and I'd like to welcome them as well. And then I'd like to begin our presentation now. So thanks again for your patience as we bridge the divide here with technology. I always like to give a little bit of background about myself, so you just get a sense of my enthusiasm for the Hill and why I'm so passionate about the school. First of all, this is one of my favorite pictures. I always like to start our presentations with this photo because it shows, I think it's really at the heart of the Hill School. And I know that our alumni and students would agree that the seated meal in our beautiful dining hall, which resembles Hogwarts in Harry Potter, is one of the most special moments and probably the best classroom on our campus. This is where many friendships are built, relationships with teachers, as well as lessons are learned, and a lot of fun is shared in our dining hall. We have a lot of special occasions. We meet every day for lunch as a full school, and we have a family-style meal around one of these long tables. And you stay either with a small group of students for 5 weeks, or with your athletic team, or with a theater production. So it's a great way to meet people and to take a break in the middle of the day and have some good food. And our dining hall was just recently renovated, and the food is, I would say, fantastic. I don't know if David and Stephanie would agree, but I'm sure it's, yeah, there's a thumbs up. Sean wishes he had some of the food that we have now just a few years ago. I got my start in boarding schools as a student. I went to a boarding school in New Hampshire called Exeter, which is a lot larger than the Hill School, about twice as large. But I had a lot of the same experiences that drew me to the Hill School. Close relationships with my peers, fantastic teachers, a close-knit environment, and lots of opportunities for curricular and co-curricular activities. And that's what really drew me back to boarding school and the opportunity to become the headmaster at the Hill School 9 years ago. In fact, my grandfather went to the Hill School, graduated in 1950, and so I grew up hearing stories of the Hill School from a very young age and was so excited to come back and lead my grandfather's alma mater. After Exeter, I went to Dartmouth and Harvard Law School and continued to have a great experience with high caliber schools, great students, fantastic teachers, and that's what, again, really drew me to the Hill School. The Hill is located in Pottstown, Pennsylvania, which is about 1 hour from Philadelphia by car, or about two hours from New York City, and we provide transportation to major airports for all of the major school holidays. With that, I want to give you a tour of our campus. As you can see, our campus is set upon a hill in a small town, which is about 20,000 people in our town, walking distance to a number of restaurants and convenience stores, and a lot of green space and area to exercise. You can see our campus stretches well beyond the core academic campus and goes out to our athletic fields. Very safe environment up on a hill and with a gated community. So I'm going to give you a quick video tour of the school. If you can just hold on for 1 second, I think I will get this right away. Here we go. One second. Bear with me.
The Hill is a really special place for
You see
me.
that?
I love the campus. Although we are centrally located and we can walk to town, the campus feels friendly and safe.
Most of our humanities classes are located in the Academic Center, which is at the center of campus. English, history, world and classical languages, and religious studies are taught here. Most classes in the Academic Center are taught around a Harkness table, which makes for great discussions.
The best spot on campus to hang out is the Student Center. TVs, foosball, table tennis, and of course, there's the grill for snacks.
On the east end of the quad is the Ryan Library. My favorite place to study in the library is the McNally Room. It's the original library and it has amazing architecture and light. That's where I go when I really need to get work done.
The Writing Center includes 2 classrooms and also serves as the home of our student newspaper. The director and student writing fellows are always available to help with writing assignments. On the opposite end of the quad is the Alumni Chapel. We gather there as a community twice each week to hear chapel talks from students, faculty, and alumni. I've learned so much from the chapel talks, and it's a needed break in the middle of a busy day or week.
The Shirley Quadrivium Center opened this year and is home to our science, computer science, math, and engineering departments. It's actually 2 historic campus buildings connected by a brand new state-of-the-art lab building. Every time I enter the Quadrivium, I get excited about the possibilities. Our STEM curriculum and the Quadrivium Center is incredible and one of the main reasons I chose Hill.
The dining hall is probably the most special place at Hill. Every day we come together for seated meals in the dining room and sit with our teams, our advisories, or other classmates. So many great memories and friendships are formed in the dining hall. And the food is delicious.
Every dorm at Hill has its own character. Upper School is the largest dorm on campus and houses our 5th and 6th formers. Each hall has approximately 15 students and at least 1 faculty member. The rooms are huge. Dutch Village includes 5 small boarding houses with 12 students and 1 faculty family in each house and is primarily for 3rd formers, our youngest students. Living in Dutch is definitely more like a home than a dorm. The Dutch Quad is the perfect place to hang out with other students in the evening and on weekends.
The newest dorms on campus are in Dell Village on the east side. Like Dutch, Dell Village includes 4 small houses for our youngest students. There's always something fun going on in the common room. Dell Field is home to Hill's American football team and a great place to watch a game.
Hill's Center for the Arts has everything an artist needs to be successful. The Center Theater seats 700 people and comes alive with our spectacular theater productions, instrumental and vocal music concerts, dance recitals, and other school events. The Dell Pond is a peaceful setting in the middle of campus. It's most famous for the special graduation tradition, the Dell Jump.
Right in the center of the residential area on campus is the varsity soccer pitch, home to the Hill's nationally ranked soccer team. The field house allows students to train indoors for tennis, track and field, and many other team sports.
One of the most historic athletics facilities is Gillison Gym, where our boys and girls basketball teams always play to a packed and spirited crowd. You are right on top of the action in Gillison Gym.
Ice hockey is a big deal at Hill, and it's a lot of fun to watch games against some of the best teams in the country. The Day Squash Center is state-of-the-art with 7 courts. Hill Squash has a premier coaching staff and features top players from all around the world. Cunningham Pool is a top regional venue for Hill's swimming, water polo, and diving teams.
And last but not least, the Outdoor Athletics Complex has an 8-lane track and field, 2 artificial turf fields with lights, 9 tennis courts, and several baseball and softball diamonds. Needless to say, Hill's athletic teams have some of the best overall training facilities in the country. Whether you are a world-class athlete, a beginner learning a new sport, or just an interested fan, you'll love being part of Hill Athletics.
Every time I return to Hill, I feel like I'm coming home.
There truly is something for everyone on our campus. All are welcome here.
There's just nothing like our home on the hill.
Well, I saw Sean smiling. He hasn't been back to campus in a while. He was seeing some familiar faces. And so you get a sense of our campus there. Expansive, great facilities, a very warm family setting with lots of activities going on all the time. Let me tell you a little bit about our student body. We have approximately 515 students. That can be a few more, a few less each year, but that's approximately where we are each year. This year we have students from 32 American states and 27 international countries. A terrific diversity on our campus. About 19% of our students are international. And like me, 30% of our students have a family connection to the Hill, either through a parent, a grandparent, an aunt or uncle, or perhaps a sibling, like some of our panelists today. Interestingly, the Hill School was actually America's first boarding school. Founded in 1851, 170 years ago, by this man right in the middle of the screen, Mr. Meigs. He founded the school with this unusual idea, which was that the school would be like a family. And he named the school the Family Boarding School for Boys and Young Men. And the idea was that the students and the faculty would live under the same roof like a family. They'd live together, they'd eat together, they'd go to school together, and create these incredibly strong familial bonds. And that, although that name didn't stick, it was a little hard to say, and people just started calling it the school up on the hill, and eventually the Hill School. That concept remained very present over our 170 years. Today, the Hill School is part of something called the 10 Schools Admissions Organization. You've probably heard about the 10 schools. It's sort of the Ivy League of boarding schools in America. These were schools that came together in the 1950s to begin what's known as the SSAT exam together. And still to this day, we work closely with these 9 other schools as we travel around the country and around the world promoting boarding schools and especially promoting the 10 schools. So
Mr.
perhaps you,
Lehman, excuse
Yes.
me for a moment. You might want to switch screens so the guests can see the presentation that you're sharing.
oh, I'm not showing that. I'm sorry. Oh, geez, my fault. We just had a blank screen there the whole time.
No, we had the logo, which was great, but this is better.
Okay, sorry about that. So let me go back since you couldn't see that while I was talking. There's a picture, original picture of the school. There's Mr. Meggs right there in the middle. Mr. Meggs was the founder of the school. And here are the other 9 schools that I mentioned that are part of the 10 schools. So thank you for that catch. The curriculum at the Hill School is fairly traditional liberal arts curriculum. And we have most of the departments that you would find at any other boarding school, such as world languages, religious studies, English, arts, humanities, history, math, science, classics, and a little bit unusual at the Hill School is our engineering program. Also, our humanities program is quite unusual, and I'm going to talk about both of those in just a moment. Students are required to take courses in each of these departments and have different requirements in each number of years, number of courses, and the like. A typical class size at Hill is 12 students, and we have a 8-to-1 student to teacher ratio. We're still an AP school, and we offer 28 AP courses. And we also have 39 honors level courses, as well as a number of just regular level courses for students to choose from. One of the things that's a little unusual about the Hill School compared to other boarding schools is that we use a weighted GPA, which means that when students calculate their grade point average, they get extra credit for taking honors courses and AP courses. And that distinguishes our students when they're applying to colleges, because their GPA reflects the rigor of their schedule, and students who go through the most difficult courses are rewarded for that in their GPA, and that helps them in the college process, which is quite important to our students. And I know that David, who's probably waiting patiently for some results in the next maybe couple of days, took a number of AP courses, and Stephanie has started taking AP courses, and Sean most certainly took a lot of AP courses during his time at Hill. In addition to our wide range of classes and departments, I wanted to just emphasize a few of our signature programs which have really distinguished the school from some of the other schools you might be considering for boarding school. First and foremost is our engineering program. The Hill School began its engineering program 6 years ago, and we're the only boarding school in America that offers a 4-year engineering curriculum. It's an elective program at the Hill School, and it features mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, coding, fabrication, as well as sensory devices and robotics. And even though it's an elective program, over 20% of our students choose to take engineering, often for all 4 years. I'm thinking David wasn't an engineering student. Stephanie, did you take engineering? No, not Stephanie.
No.
And Sean, I think, was graduating right as we were beginning the engineering program. So we don't have any engineering students on the call today. But one of the great things about engineering is that it is at the core of our new STEM building, which was mentioned by Stephanie, and in the video, the Shirley Quadrivium Center, which is at the core of our campus. It's actually two very not old, but original buildings from campus. On the left and right, you see the Widener buildings connected by a brand new laboratory building. In the middle, it's a 40,000 square foot building, state of the art, and quite extraordinary. Our students are really enjoying it this year. And the engineering lab is right there when you walk in the front center doors. At the same time that we have this modern engineering program, the Hill School is also very well known for its humanities and classics program. The humanities program is a 2-year program that substitutes for English in your 5th and 6th form year, your 11th and 12th grade year. And I know we have some humanities students on the call here with us today. And it's a selective program. You have to be chosen to be admitted to it. There's one of our students, Larry Lowe, is a Hong Kong student right there front and center. Graduated 2 years ago, is at Cornell right now, and it's a terrific program. In addition to humanities, we have a top 3 program in classics in the United States. Students can take, I think it's about 7 levels of Latin, as well as 3 or 4 levels of Greek. And many of our classic students are among our elite students who go on to the top universities. And so again, I'm not, David, I don't think you've taken classics. Stephanie or Sean, were you classics students at Hill? No, again, no, I'm striking out. That's okay. I know that Nick was, Judy's son, Nick, reached the highest levels in classics at Hill, and I think studied classics even as he went to University of Chicago. So those are several of our signature programs, and I also want to talk about our co-curricular programs. At the Hill, like many other American schools, we believe that our students should be well-rounded in the classroom and out of the classroom. For most of our students, that means athletics. Our students are required to do at least 1 season of interscholastic athletics each year, and then they can do other things in their afternoon time if they'd like to. But many of our students focus on athletics, and again, it ranges from introductory athletics all the way up to the varsity teams. Some of our teams are nationally ranked, while other teams are more average teams. So everyone has an opportunity to play sports at the Hill. Some of our students on this call are involved with, I heard David mention wrestling, and we have a fantastic crew team. We have a great squash program led by a fantastic coach. So it's really up to you. If you already know a sport, you can join one of our 32 athletic teams. If you are trying new sport, you can pick whatever you want. And you can change sports every season or even every year. But if you're not that into sports, we have a fantastic performing arts program after school. We have a terrific musical and regular theater program, which features 4 main stage productions per year now. This was our production of Hairspray last year, which was unbelievable. We have really talented students, and that's supported by our instrumental music program, which can be taken as a class, but there's also opportunities to take lessons privately. So we have an orchestra, we also have a jazz band, and then we have vocal music, which again can be taken as a class or through one of our a cappella groups as a student organization in the evenings and afternoons. This is our chorus performing. We have, I think, 4 concerts per year of our chorus. And then 3 years ago, we began a new dance program at the Hill School. That can be also taken as a class. And now, beginning this year, is offered as an afternoon program. And all of these things also feed into our theater program. So having great instrumental music, vocal music, and dancing certainly helps our world-class musical theater program, which all of us have been beneficiaries of. There's Stephanie. And if those things don't interest you, we have other programs as well, including a terrific debate program. We offer right now 2 different forms of debate. We offer, Stephanie, remind me, our 2 that we're doing now, it's
there's Lincoln Douglas and Public Forum.
Lincoln Douglas and Public Forum, and I think we're investigating other options as well, maybe parliamentary as well. We have a terrific new debate coach, Mr. Malinak, who's helping our students both who are on campus and off campus, since we've had some remote students this year as well. Many of our students choose to do community service as an afternoon program, and that's something that they can do either for credit or some other organizations on campus do community service as part of their, like a team can do community service, or a form or a dormitory. There's lots of opportunities nearby campus to serve our local community. Hill is also known for some great traditions and for a traditional atmosphere. And I just want to mention 6 of our key traditions. First and foremost is our chapel program. Twice a week, we gather in our chapel, which is a non-denominational service. And it's mostly focused on a chapel talk given by a student or faculty member, primarily 6th form or senior students, who give a chapel talk about some experience that they've had in their life and that they think will be useful to their classmates and to the underclassmen. In addition to the chapel program, we have weekly family nights in the dorms. Our students gather on Tuesday evenings by floor, so usually about 10 to 12 students, and it might be a game night, it might be a snack, it might be, they may watch a movie, they may challenge another dorm or floor to a game of broomball or something along those lines. But it's a great way just to relax and get to know each other, and it's supervised by your dorm parents. I mentioned already our daily seated meals in the dining hall. That's a huge tradition at the school. We also have a formal dress code. We're one of the few schools that that continues to have a formal dress code, coat and tie for boys, and blazers and skirts or pants for the girls. You can see the student in the middle here, I'll move the dress code there, is wearing a varsity letter sweater. That's also permitted in lieu of a blazer. And last but not least, sorry, not last but not least, but I mentioned our honor code, which is a 30-year-old tradition at the school. Students sign the honor code, promising not to cheat, not to steal, and not to lie. That's a student-created program, and it's student-enforced. And so we have a high level of integrity at the school, and our students really are respectful. They support each other. They listen to their teachers in terms of the expectations of the teachers, and they really live up to the honor code, which is a very special tradition at the Hill. And then last but not least is our advisory program. Every student at Hill is assigned an advisor when they come to the Hill School for the duration of their time there, which could be 1 to 4 years. And that advisor becomes an incredibly important person in their life, both during their time at the Hill and usually beyond the Hill. They stay in touch with their advisor, which is a really important role for our students. And they can help with academics, but they can also help with homesickness, or they can help with just really anything that a student is concerned about. And they meet with their advisors at least twice a week in a formal and informal setting. And then I just want to touch on health and wellness at Hill, which has become a pretty important piece of what we offer at the Hill, especially in the last year with COVID-19. And I just want to mention COVID-19 for a moment. Obviously, some of the videos and pictures you've seen are from last year when we weren't in a COVID environment. But we're very proud of how the school has responded to COVID-19. We just finished our on-campus portion of the fall semester with 13 weeks of in-person classes, longer than any other boarding school in the United States. We had a total of 2 cases of COVID in that 13 weeks, 1 faculty member and 1 student. Our students did a great job with physical distancing and masking and other mitigation strategies. And I think you can ask David and Stephanie how it's been, but and maybe we'll get to that during the Q&A, but it's been a very successful fall. And although it's not back to normal just yet, it was a pretty good experience, I think, for everyone during those 13 weeks. We had 80% of our students on campus and about 20% of our students, primarily international students, that couldn't get visas to come to the United States. But I think all but one of our Hong Kong students came this year, and David, I think, was the chaperone on the airplane bringing them over this fall, and was a great ambassador for the school, and they had a great experience this fall. So right now, everyone's home for a few weeks, finishing up the autumn session, and then we're beginning a 6-week remote experiential term called the H term. And then all of our students will return at the end of February for 14 weeks of the spring term. So we'll get in our full 30 weeks of school, which is, I think, will be one of the very few schools that can say that in the United States. So we can talk more about that if you have questions, but hopefully COVID-19 will be a thing of the past when any of our prospective families join the Hill next year. We have a world-class health center, wellness center at the school, staffed by a full-time emergency room doctor and a team of nurses and nurse practitioners. We have currently, I think, 17 beds in the wellness center for students who need to stay overnight or need to be isolated or quarantined. We have other quarantine facilities on campus as well, but our nursing staff and our medical director are fantastic. We owe them a lot this year, especially. We also have invested heavily in our counseling center at Hill. We now have 5 full-time licensed counselors who support our students' mental health. Really, any issue that a student has, they can sign up to see a counselor weekly or drop in. There's just a lot of opportunities there. And our counselors do also lead well-being classes for our students that are age appropriate for their the topics that they're dealing with in their lives. And lastly, I would just mention that a big part of health and wellness is the support for our students, especially our international students. I believe we're the only school that has a full-time international student coordinator. You can see her right up front, Helen Cho. Helen may even be on the call today. Helen is native Chinese, but has been in the United States for quite some time, and just loves working with our students, organizing events, dinners, special meals and celebrations, helping to communicate with parents. She's always on WeChat and WhatsApp, answering questions, helping with travel and transportation, which has been especially helpful this year as families have dealt with the various travel restrictions. And I think we can all say thank you to Helen for her great work supporting our students. But that's a special benefit for our international students for sure. And as you can see, it's not just our international students who join some of these events. The international events are some of the most popular events on campus, especially Lunar New Year celebration and the Autumn Festival, certainly because of the food, but also the festivities. Of course, many students will join a school like Hill, will attend a school like Hill because they're interested in attending a top college or university in the United States or internationally. We're very proud of our college counseling program, and Ellen Dietrich, our director of college counseling, is one of the top college counselors in the United States. She's a member of the National Board of College Counselors, as well as the Pennsylvania Board of College Counselors. And I believe she was recently just asked to join the College Board in terms of SATs and APs. Ellen leads a team of 5 other counselors. We have regular college fairs on campus, trips to go visit colleges. There's a lot of support for test prep, one-on-one counselor meetings, helping choosing courses, as well as if a student is a college-bound athlete, we have a counselor who specializes in that. And I think our students have the great benefit of working with some of the top people in the college counseling world. And our students choose to go to many different colleges, usually about 70 to 80 different colleges and universities around the country and around the world. And they show off their college selections on College T-shirt Day in the late spring. But our students are very successful at top 20 colleges and universities and top 50 colleges and universities. We've started to hear good news even in the last few days with early decision. We're all waiting on pins and needles for some of the Ivy Leagues that are coming in, I think on the 15th, right, David?
Depends. Some are 15, some are like 17.
You might have to wait a couple extra days. Will you be in quarantine when you find out, David?
Yes, I am.
All right, well, we'll have to send you some celebratory foods if it's good news. Mentioned in the video is something called the Dell Jump. This is, I would say, the most famous tradition at the Hill School. Right after our students graduate, they rip off their coat and tie and they throw on an alumni t-shirt and they dive into the Dell Pond right in the middle of campus with their family and classmates and friends watching. Each jump is more acrobatic than the next, and our students come together as a senior class in the middle of the pond to sing the school song and cheer and chant and celebrate their time together. For many of them, this will be the last time they're together as a full class, but it's really a celebration of their journey, and it's a wonderful tradition at the Hill School. I know one that Sean enjoyed and David is looking forward to in just a few months. When you graduate from the Hill, you benefit from a terrific alumni network all over the world. We have 10,000 alumni, and they're usually very supportive of Hill graduates, young and old, whether they knew them or not, whether it's helping with career advice, finding a job, a place to stay, just a friend in a new location when you move to town or when you're visiting. We have a lot of alumni events and career networking initiatives all throughout the year. And it's a wonderfully supportive and connected Hill community out there. That's all I had today I wanted to share with you, but I'm hoping we have a number of new prospective families on the call. And so I'm going to stop my screen share here and then hopefully take some questions. Linda, if you would, we're going to promote everyone to become a panelist here, which is a great way for us to see who's here. You don't have to show your video if you don't want to, but we will take questions. All you need to do is raise your hand in the panelist box, or just unmute yourself and ask a question. So can I have a brave first question? We will wait. You can also type your question into the Q&A box if you'd like. Well, while we're waiting for the first question, I will ask Sean a question. Sean, can you share how you feel the Hill School prepared you for college? And now that you're starting your first job, maybe it's your first job, how you think the Hill School prepared you specifically for college and for your career?
Yeah, of course. So in addition to my academic skills, which are very important, I think that Hill School has given me a lot of soft skills or like transferable skills. So for example, communication skills, leadership skills, teamwork skills. I think these are actually very important in college and afterwards. Like when I start looking for jobs, or like when I start my actual job right now, I feel like these skills are actually more important than academic skills. And I really feel like I did start developing them when I was at Hill. So for example, I would participate in different clubs. I was a leader of the Eco Action Team, which is a environmental protection club. I was in a debate team, which really improved my communication skills. So all these skills I think are very important, in addition to like academic subjects. So I think this is the this part of my Hill experience is the most important, I feel like.
Thanks, Sean. I think we'd all agree. I can still remember your first day at Hill, Sean. So I know just how far those skills have taken you. So thank you for sharing. Stephanie, could you tell our group a little bit about student life on campus, what it's like to be a student, an international student, activities, things that you do in your free time and weekends, that sort of thing?
Yeah, of course. So you guys know from the video that, the Hill School is known as the family boarding school. And it's not just because like there's a lot of legacies, a lot of siblings on campus with each other, but it's also because of the community and how like we are essentially a family. We have meals together, we hang out a lot on weekends together, we live with a lot of people together in our dorms. So the dynamic of the school is very much like a family. So usually on weekends, we get weekend activities by our student life coordinator. We have activities such as watching movies on the big quad, the big field. We have, when COVID wasn't a thing, we went out sometimes. There'd be trips to Chinatown, there'd be trips to Target every week, trips to like trampoline parks, stuff like that. Very diverse activities. So usually students would go on those activities with their friends and have a nice time outside. But also this year with COVID, we had a lot of very fun activities on campus. We had food trucks coming on campus to give us food from outside of school. And there was just so many activities that the student life coordinators planned out so well, even amidst a pandemic, which was very great. So that about sums up like weekends and stuff. And also it's a great time to just unwind and just hang out with your friends in your dorm if you would like.
And Stephanie, could you just add a little bit about what dorm life is like?
Yeah, of course. So I live in Dell Village, which is one of the newest dorms. And in my dorm, it's a relatively small dorm. We have family nights every week. We have a large common room. There's sofas, microwaves, stuff like that. And we hang out a lot there. We watch movies on the TV, and it's great just getting to know everybody in the dorm and getting close with your prefects, your dorm parents, and they're just such great mentors and guides for you as well if you have any issues with school.
Thanks, Stephanie. David, we have a question. We have actually two questions that I'm going to pose to you from the group. The first is, what schools or types of schools did you attend before coming to Hill? David, you can say where you went to school and where some of your Hong Kong classmates maybe or other international students went to school before coming to Hill.
Personally, I'm like a special case because I went to a junior boarding school in Massachusetts before I came to Hill. But I think most of my peers from Hong Kong at Hill, they went to schools like Victoria Shanghai Academy or like CIS. I think that's where Stephanie went, and like mostly international schools. But we also have some like students that come from like Hong Kong local schools.
Great.
Yep.
And the second question for you is, can you speak of how you're supported in discovering your ultimate higher education interest? So how during your time at Hill were you able to explore different things in terms of what you wanted to study in college?
Yep. So actually, when I was a freshman, right now I'm planning to study arts and design in college. And then when I was a freshman, like I would never thought of like even taking an art course before. But then like after speaking to like a sophomore while I was a freshman, he like suggested me to take an art course at Hill, which I didn't thought there were like any harm trying. So which is what I did. And then it was like one of the best decisions I've ever made, because right now I've taken 4 years of studio arts at Hill, from like the beginners level, studio arts 1, all the way until I'm currently taking AP studio arts. And then, Hill has supported me in many different ways in terms of the art curriculum being really diverse, and there are different type of arts offered, like woodworking and fiber arts and different kind of like. Also, besides the art courses, my art teacher, Mrs. Nelson, also the head of the art department, she's like the nicest teacher you can ever meet. And then she helped me and inspired me like to explore different type of arts and excel above and beyond my own expectations. And then normally like during class, she would make us like food too, like cookies during holiday times. So yeah.
Thank you, David. Sean, can you speak a little bit about how Hill first sparked your interest in different subjects? You mentioned environmental studies, but I know you went on to study diplomacy in college. Was that sparked at Hill?
Yes, partly. I even before Hill, I had some interest in politics and policy, but when I was Hill, I joined the debate team. I actually started a club called the Junior State of America, and I also I learned a lot about U.S. history, which is quite relevant to politics. So I did develop my interests in politics at Hill. I also developed my interest in environmental protection, and also like the French language as well, because we had to choose a foreign language to learn. I chose French, and now I'm basically proficient in French, and I'm very interested in French culture and stuff like that. So I really developed a lot of different passion for different subjects as well.
Thanks, Sean. Next question to Judy. Judy, hi, I'm a parent. May I ask, in what ways are international parents involved in the education of their children when they're at the Hill School?
Well, in my personal experience, when I was a parent at Hill, the way it does is when you are in Hong Kong, the students, the teachers involve the parents a lot. But when you drop them off in a boarding school, it is important for the parents to let them learn how to be independent. So we try not to reach out to the student, ask them to do this and that too much, but let them find their way. And the way to find out how they're doing and connect with them, knowing what they're doing in terms of academic results or sports or activities, is through the advisor. And I have developed a very close relationship with the advisor. I talk to him regularly, and he was very responsive to me. And if there's any issue, any highlights that my son Nick has done at Hill, he will inform me. And now we even have Helen Chi, who is the international advisor to our parents' body. So if there's any issue, right now what I'm seeing is we had the parents all reach out to Helen. So at Hill, our international families are well looked after.
And I think I would just add to that, we do have a traditional parents weekend, typically in the fall. This year it'll be in the spring due to COVID, but parents can visit anytime they want. And certainly when our international parents come, we will arrange for you to meet with teachers and advisors and drop in with dorm parents or go out and watch an athletic practice or a performance. And many of our international parents will come for extended visits and at different times during their children's experience at Hill. And I also travel typically once or twice overseas each year and have a chance to meet with all the parents, both individually and as a group. So, and I would just say lastly, our parents get involved with some of our international events, sponsoring a dinner, sponsoring a trip, those kinds of things parents are often involved with. So there are a lot of ways, as Judy suggests, to get involved, but the primary way is through a student's advisor. Okay, next question here is, are there ESL courses? Is there any support provided for students whose first language is not English? So I will answer that question. We don't have ESL courses at Hill. Hill is an academically selective school, and the expectation is that our students will arrive pretty close to fluent when they come to Hill. Certainly their written English and their spoken English and their comprehension will quickly improve, especially their ability to manage multiple conversations at the same time, and their ability to read academic material and literature and technical materials will improve dramatically. But we don't offer ESL. We do have academic support for all students who request it. And as I think David mentioned, we have student fellows in math and languages and classics, and a lot of opportunities for student and faculty support in different ways. But we don't have an ESL program at the Hill. Here's a question for David and Stephanie. It says, both of the current students mentioned that they co-founded a club. What is the process of starting a club at Hill? And could you introduce the nature of the clubs you founded? David, you want to take that first?
I can go first. So to create a club at Hill first, we have a club fair, an annual club fair every year, like beginning of school. And then you would have to submit an application to the Student Life Association, Student Life office, to say what club do you want to do, and then why do you want to make this club, and then what it means to you, and then you have to also find a faculty advisor for the club to supervise you throughout the year. And then after that, you would this year we had to submit a video detailing what our club is about and how often we will meet as a club. And then after we have the club meeting, our student life dean, who is Mr. Hoffman, he would send out a Excel sign-up sheet, and then students can just sign up for a club. And then that's how you make your own club. For me this year, I made a club called Hill's Environment, Art, and Leadership Club, which me and one of my friends wanted to make this club to research about the intersection between the subject of environmental science and art, which is something that we're both really interested in. So, yeah.
Great. Stephanie, did you mention a club that you started or that you're involved with?
Yes. So, like David said, the club application process is very simple. It's straightforward. You just have to essentially just realize what you want to accomplish in your club and just submit it, and most likely it'll get approved. So my club is an East Asian club, and I actually started it with my brother. So our aim is to kind of, we'd like all students to join, students from multiple backgrounds. And we kind of talk about East Asian culture in the club. And for East Asian students, we kind of wish that we can create an environment that where they can actually talk to people of even culturally similar backgrounds. And our recent meeting right before we left for Thanksgiving, it was amazing. We had Helen actually, Ms. Cho, she brought us boba. She ordered boba for us, and it was great. And it was great to connect with like people and talk about East Asian culture. And it was just really fun.
Awesome. No one invited me to that club meeting, Stephanie. I would have had some boba. Okay, next question. David, and then Sean can answer this too. What is something unique to your experience at Hill compared to friends from other US boarding schools? Actually, Sean, why don't you take that first? You had friends who went to other boarding schools, or just something that was unique to your experience at Hill?
Well, yeah, I actually don't have a lot of friends who go to other US boarding schools, but I can speak about like the difference between my experience at Hill and my friends' experiences at other schools, like public schools. I'd say Hill is unique in that, first of all, we have boarding environment, which is obviously very different from a public school or a day school. So you really get to bond with your classmates. You really get a sense of community, which I think is really important. You develop networks with other people. You develop lifelong friendships. So I think these are very important. That sets Hill apart from other schools, most other schools.
David, how would you definitely know students who went to other American boarding schools, having gone to junior boarding school? What do you think is unique about Hill compared to some of your other friends' experiences?
I have a lot of friends from like schools in New England, like Middlesex, like St. Paul's, and I have a lot of friends from Vornstall too. From their stories, what they told me is that when they're in their own boarding school, they don't know a lot of people around them because the school is like so big and the campus is so big, and they don't have a lot of like required events that allow their class to get together. So I think what's unique about Hill is that we have really fun events that gets like, for example, we have like ice cream socials, and then we have like 4 meetings, which like almost every 2 weeks, and then which will get us like together as like a class. For me, it's class of 2021. And then we would like just socialize and talk about our week, and then just like catch up on everything. And then I think another thing is that Hill is a really like close-knit community, and that like everyone knows each other. So like there won't be like an unfamiliar face when you're walking around campus. So that's a really nice point.
Even the headmaster knows everybody, right, David?
That's true. That's really true. Yeah.
All right. Okay, next question. I really appreciate how transparent and communicative Hill is regarding the COVID arrangement on their website. Maybe you could just touch on a few important facts that prospective international families need to pay attention to. Thanks. I think I'll take that question. Again, we are quite confident that COVID-19 won't be part of our overall concern next fall. But to the extent that things continue to linger on, I think it's important to note that, first of all, we have a full-time medical director who is a MD doctor on our campus. We're one of very few schools that has a full-time doctor living and working on the campus. And she provides terrific advice, not only to me, but to our students and to our nurses and counselors. And that's a huge benefit for us. The second is that we have expansive facilities. And so while many schools were struggling to find ways to de-densify their classrooms and have 6 or 8 students in a classroom, we were able to expand throughout campus and have some temporary facilities brought on. But we also have amazing outdoor facilities, both for academic programs and for athletics. So we were really able to spread out. One thing I'll mention is we're also the furthest south of any of the 10 schools. which gave us the best weather. So we were really able to take advantage of the weather outdoors this year. And I think that contributed to us being able to keep our community safe and healthy as well. We communicate very well, not on campus, off campus. This past summer and fall, I held about 5 or 6 forums like this for parents to ask questions and to learn of our strategy, and we published everything. And I think that it made our families really confident in our ability, and we posted our numbers of COVID cases and quarantines every week. And so there was never a question of honesty or transparency. So I think our plan has worked quite well, and if we have to extend it to next year, I think we're in a very good position to do so. So hopefully that answers your question. Judy, is there anything else you wanted to add to that might help international families as they think about COVID?
I think the school also has been very, very communicated with the parents, and I see a lot of email passing through, and they was very regular. And in addition to that, one thing I also want to highlight is in our Hong Kong communities, we had a WhatsApp group, and all the information are in there, and parents are very welcome to reach out to me, and they have. If there's any issue, they reach out to me, and I'll, if within my power, I'll take care of it. And if not, I'll direct them to reach out to the school directly. And so our parents really have no concern, and we have an extremely closely knit community in Hong Kong.
Yeah, and I've noticed parents have helped each other quite a bit with transportation arrangements and with testing requirements for transportation. I've learned a lot from our WhatsApp group. I learned more about international travel there than anywhere else. Okay, next question. And Stephanie, I'll ask you to take this. How do you guide students in politics and social issues in a highly divided world? Are students given all aspects of facts and allowed to discuss freely?
So personally for me, the places where I got to discuss politics the most was firstly in history class and also in debate. And teachers make sure they're giving you a completely nonpartisan point of view. It's completely based in facts. They show us videos and stuff, teach us about like the Electoral College, the voting process, especially this year. And it's really just, they give you the facts, and it's up to you guys to discuss with your peers, with your classmates, with your friends. On politics and stuff. And there's also these clubs on campus. There's a Young Democrat club and a Young Republicans club, I believe. And the night before the election, the clubs actually got together and had a discussion. There was a lot of questions, a lot of topics that students brought up that wanted to be discussed. And it was this great environment where people were able to freely share their opinions without it having been like clouded by teachers or faculty members pushing opinions onto the students. It was all just like our own thoughts, and it was just us freely discussing our own beliefs.
Sean, when you were at Hill, which was perhaps not as divisive of a time, both internationally and within the United States, did you find the same thing, that you were in a position to discuss things freely? Did teachers allow students to hear the facts and have their own opinions? Sean, are you there?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you just now.
Oh, okay.
Can you repeat the question again?
Sure, Sean. The question was, when you were at Hill, were you, did you feel that it was an open environment to discuss politics and social issues? Did teachers give you that freedom and support you, or did you find it was partisan or anything like that?
Well, I have to say that when I was at Hill 4 years ago, 5 years ago, it was a very different environment, both at Hill and in America in general. But I really had the freedom to discuss different issues with other people, especially with the debate team, like discussing different policies and stuff like that. And yeah, especially during our history classes, US history, world history, European history classes, we really get to discuss like even current issues during history classes. And I have made friends who are also interested in politics and policy. And I really enjoyed having those conversations with them.
Yeah, the thing I would add this year, one of obviously the big topics of discussion was around diversity, equity, and inclusion in our schools. Race in America was a big topic this year. And I think the school did a very good job. And especially for international students, this was important as well. We did a lot of those conversations in our advisory groups and in other settings on campus. I think we are very supportive of those things, although I would say the Hill is a little bit on the more traditional side, but we are certainly open-minded and give students a chance to speak freely and write about what they're interested in. And there are a number of clubs, I think, as Stephanie and Sean have mentioned, where students have the ability to, if they're really interested in a particular perspective, that they can share that with students, like-minded students. And if they want to debate about it, they can also find students on campus who have opposite perspectives or different perspectives. All right, and the last question I'm going to ask each of you to answer, and then we're going to close up for the day. So did you uncover a new interest, either academic or co-curricular at the Hill, and what drove you to that change? So David, I'm going to let you go first. I think I can think of a few that I know you found at Hill, but go ahead, David.
Wait, okay. So at Hill, first of all, I discovered my college interest and my passion, like art and design. And also, I started wrestling at Hill actually during my junior year. And then another big thing is crew. I started crew at Hill too. So starting with art, obviously my teacher, Mrs. Nelson, is a really big factor of why I continue art at Hill. And then she really inspires me to be better and do better as an artist and as a student. So normally, Mrs. Nelson, she would spend time with me like during free period to look over my projects and see how I can improve. And she also offer extra help during night times, where I would go to the Center for the Arts, which is the CFTA, to work on my projects and ask for like a one-on-one session with her. And yeah, she just like, she's a really nice teacher that spends a lot of time on students. And then another thing is wrestling. So the reason why I joined wrestling was one of my good friends who actually told me that I would be really good at wrestling, which inspired me to like go to tryouts. And then the first day of tryouts, it was like pretty hard. But then like after that, my friend, he like was like kept convincing me and then told me that it would get better as things like went along. And then as I started competing, I actually like really liked the sport. And the only regret I have is not starting it like sooner. So yeah, I think the relationships at Hill is like really big factor of what drove me to have the confidence in trying new things and then trying new like co-curricular activities. And then for crew, it was actually, I joined crew because of my prefect freshman year. He was actually the crew captain. And every night he would like tell me stories about crew practice. And then although like I've heard like everyone around campus that crew is like a really like hard sport and then it takes a lot of time commitment, it was actually one of the best choices I've ever made, because the Hill School crew team is like a family to me now. So yeah.
Thanks, David. Stephanie, how about you? What is something that maybe was new that you didn't expect when you came to Hill?
So one thing I can think of this year that I actually started doing that I really, really enjoy is my religion class. So I'm taking a religion class called Philosophy and Religion in China and Beyond. And although I'm Chinese, there are a lot of things that I actually didn't know of that I'm actually learning in class right now. But I never really had an interest in philosophy nor religion before I came to Hill. I never really experienced any classes of that sort. It's very unique to Hill, I feel like. And it really opened my eyes up to a lot of like philosophical concepts that are really interesting to me. I really like thinking about different things. So philosophy really is something that I feel like when I got to Hill, I actually had the chance to pursue it and also think more about it. And there are also certain aspects in my history class that are philosophical that I really enjoy. So I really think when I went to Hill, it really opened me up to this new like realm of like subjects that I never really experienced before, which I actually have a lot of interest in.
It probably helps out a little bit in debate too, right, Stephanie?
Yeah, definitely helps a lot.
Great. And Sean, can you think of something that you explored at Hill that you hadn't been exposed to prior to coming to the Hill?
Yeah, as I said before, I really developed a passion for like politics, environmental protection, and French as well. But in addition to those, I also became interested in other random things like Judaism. So well, for the first time at Hill, I made friends with Jewish students, and I really became interested in Judaism, and that's partly what I studied at Georgetown afterwards, and decided to study abroad at in Israel as well. So yeah, it's not it's not always like it's not only like politics and environmental protection that I became interested in, but also like other things that I learned at Hill.
Sean, I remembered seeing on your LinkedIn profile that you had studied in Israel, and I never knew where that came from. So that's great to hear.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank our panelists for joining us today, and I especially want to thank Judy for helping to organize this event. I'm glad that so many of you could join us today and learn more about the Hill School. We are right in the middle of the admissions season, and we'd like, if you're interested in, if you haven't had an interview already, please contact our admissions office by emailing admission@thehill.org, and they would be glad to help set up an interview and a virtual campus tour. If you're in the States, we can also do campus tours in January. Our application deadline is February 1st, and we let families know on March 10th of the decision. And then we're working on our revisit day plans, hopefully in person, sometime in late March, early April, before the April 10th deadline for deciding on schools. If you have any other questions, feel free to contact me directly or Judy or any of our students. So, you're quite welcome. I just saw a thanks for the breakfast. That was fun. We sent breakfast to some of our students online. I'm not sure that everyone got one, but hopefully you had some nice pastries to enjoy this morning during the presentation. So I'm going to end with one last video. If you'll bear with me while I share my screen, hopefully I'll get it right this time. Thanks again for joining us, and we wish you a terrific new year. Hold on a second, I will find it. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day and a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.